I'm Cynthia James, and this network is about changing lives one woman at a time. Hello and welcome to Women Awakening. I'm your host, Cynthia James, and I have the distinct honor of bringing beautiful, fabulous, extraordinary women to you. And when I say extraordinary, it doesn't mean that they're an exception. It means they're an example. They are showing us what's possible when you step into that field of infinite possibilities and dare to bring your gifts to the planet, shine your light, and be powerful. So I want you to know I'm honored to do this every week. You know, we're on all the platforms, Spotify, iTunes, iHeart, Spreaker, Amazon, video on YouTube. And you can go to cynthiajames.net. That's my website, and there's a lot of gifts and things for you, and you can join my private community. Well, I want to introduce you to someone new. Her name is Ellie Pechet. She's a master healer and a metaphysician. She says she's a natural-born shaman, an author, and a speaker. She's been healing people and pets, primarily remotely, for over 33 years. Her mission is to empower women, especially by energetically clearing any blocks or issues from the past or present that are keeping them from being their full, authentic self and living in their full, authentic power. Ellie specializes in clearing core wounds from childhood and remotely heals a profound issue for her clients in every session. It could be on grief from death or of a loved one, or depression that has been long or short term. She heals emotional and physical issues associated with the heart and can remotely intuit and heal unconscious issues such as resentments that have led to the development of cancer or other physical conditions. Her book is called Hitching a Ride, A Guide to Earthbound Spirits and How They Affect You. Ellie, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. It's a real honor, Cynthia.
Well, I want to start by just you sharing with our audience, how did you grow up? I mean, not everybody drops on the planet knowing what they're here for, but how did you grow up?
I had no idea what I was here for when I first landed. It takes us a while to remember why we came, and I had a very challenging childhood, which is often the case when you're a natural born shaman. And with every challenge that I overcame, especially my childhood, my powers increased, and they go together. It's not like I woke up with a silver spoon in my mouth and I could do all these amazing healings. So the other part of it is it really developed my sense of compassion for people when they are suffering. And I pride myself on getting results for the clients that I work with, because I understand what it's like to be in pain. And so my goal is always to get my clients out of pain as quickly as possible. And it really works like a charm.
Right. Well, I love what you said. A lot of healers and teachers, have come from challenging childhoods. And it's been a catalyst to support them in being in high service. So tell me how you moved from this challenging childhood to doing what you do today. I mean, did you have training? How did it work?
I had a lot of training, but most of it was really innate ability that I came in with. And like I have a master's degree in counseling, and I'm a Reiki master, and I'm certified in the Yuan technique, and eventually I developed my own technique, which is primarily what I do now for many years, called the Pechet healing technique. And my technique takes everything that I've learned over the years a lot further. And that's why I say my innate ability is, you can't heal someone by reading a book. People come in with different levels of ability for different things. Mine happens to be healing, and people like credentials. They like knowing I'm certified in this and that. I've got the master's degree. But you know what? Between you and I, that's not what's as important as having a natural ability to heal others. Does that make sense?
Absolutely, to be tuned in and tapped in. Um, but I guess I just want to start with, okay, you had these gifts, you've known that you've had these gifts. Um, but did you know how to do this as a business?
No, that's not uh, that's not really what I enjoy. I mean, it's necessary, but my favorite thing to do is the hands-on, healing, getting a result for someone every session. The business is sort of a, necessary thing on this planet, right? We have to make a living, and there has to be an exchange of energy. So,
Yeah. So
yeah.
I want to talk about your technique, because when I was reading your bio, there's a lot of different things that you do. And so talk to me about your technique, and if a client is coming to you, how you get them into the process of working with you.
Well, I don't actually do a lot of different things. I mostly do my technique, and that involves uh, tuning in on a high level when I start working with a client, and um, talking with them. Maybe like a typical session will be I talk with the client for the first 15 or 20 minutes, and they're doing more of the talking. And it's pretty uncanny how what needs to be cleared that session will bubble up to the surface from their subconscious. It's not even a conscious thing that they're doing, but I'm paying attention and I'm listening for what is going to be most needed, what will be most helpful to clear for this client this session. And I'm also linking up on a higher level intuitively, and and all of a sudden I'll hear the phrase of what needs to be cleared, and then I'll muscle test the client. I do this energetically. It helps make it, very efficient. And I'll almost always get confirmation. Then I let them know what I'm getting. And again, 9 times out of 10, or even 10 times out of 10, it will resonate.
Yeah. Well, for our audience who may not know, what's your definition of a shaman?
I it's not something that I went looking for or thought, well, this is cool. And I don't do things because they're cool. I do them because they feel right, and it's a natural thing. Uh, I, the way that I use my abilities as a natural shaman is really the other branch of my work, which is identifying and removing negative entities.
Mhm.
So that's what my book is about. So earthbound spirit attachments that have attached to a person without them knowing, because they can't see it. And our culture doesn't teach us about this issue. which is one of the main reasons that I wrote the book, was to raise the public's awareness. So as a shaman, I have an ability in which I've done this in past lives as a shaman to identify and remove negative entities such as earthbound spirits and other types of entities. And sometimes I deal with creepy stuff. I mean,
Mhm.
I consider it creepy, but I'm able to deal with it and handle it and remove it. And so I do it.
Yeah, well, I want to talk a little bit more about this, for anybody who might not understand, because here are things, there's energies and frequencies that are apparent everywhere. Some that you can see, some you cannot. And there are also energetics that can connect to another person's energy and be non-beneficial. So, can you just talk about, maybe give me an example of someone that came to you that had an entity attached and were having strange experiences but didn't know what was happening to them?
Oh, yes. I it, a story that comes to mind is a woman that I that came to me for help, had been gaining weight, and uh, she also had all of a sudden started craving Fritos and chocolate, two items that she had never really, never liked, never bought. And all of a sudden she's finding herself buying these items at the supermarket and eating them. And so when she came to see me, I checked to see if there was an entity with her. And when I say entity, most commonly, I mean an earthbound spirit attachment, a person who has died but has gotten stuck here for whatever reason and attached to a certain person. So, what I realized and informed her was that there was an earthbound spirit with her in her energy field. And actually, I believe it was a male. And those were two of his favorite foods was chocolate and Fritos. So he actually was inside of her, which is what they often do. They'll kind of hover around for a while, and then they'll be like, you know what? This is kind of cool. I want to go inside, this person. So since I'm stuck here anyway, I want to see, I want to be able to eat and drink and do things as if I had my own body again. And so by him going inside of her physical vessel, her body, he was able to experience eating Fritos and chocolate again. Does it make sense?
Yeah, totally. And I just want to say to anybody who's out there listening, going, I don't know if this is real. I just want to tell you that there is some technology that can pick up the energy of other frequencies. I just want you to know because I had a guest on, and that's what she did. But the fact that you can tap into the person by sitting with that person and know that there's someone else there, some other energy there, is important. Because tell me why you think it's really important that people get clear about this and clear those energies.
Oh, that's a really great question, Cynthia. It's really important that if someone has a spirit or some other type of entity around them, it's so important that they become aware of this because they can cause not only personality changes, but physical symptoms, and they can exacerbate emotional symptoms. So, for example, if someone has a history of depression and uh, an earthbound spirit also had an issue with depression, there's going to be a natural resonance. And so they're going to be drawn to hang around and then inhabit that person who has always been depressed. So what happens is the person who's always been depressed all of a sudden gets even more depressed because now there are two of them who are depressed.
Yeah, yeah. It's really it's really important. I think I've had clients who have come and said things like, "I'm acting in a way that I've never acted before," or I'm doing things that I've never done before, and I think there might be some kind of energetic attached to me, especially people who are vulnerable.
Yes,
It's easier for those energetics to connect if the people are vulnerable and their immune systems are down or their emotional state is down.
exactly right. I recently, in the last few weeks, worked with a woman who said, Ellie, she actually heard me on, have you heard of Barbara Marciniak, who channels the Pleiadians for decades? No?
No.
The Pleiadians are a very high level of ETs. And anyway, she heard me on her most recent recording in which the ETs themselves recommended me.
Mm,
So that was quite the compliment.
really?
Yeah, she had read my book that I gifted to her. Anyway, so this woman called me and she knew she needed help and she had a family, two daughters and a husband, and she was feeling really angry. And when she would get home, she would have thoughts of like burning down the house, and other violent thoughts. She was angry almost all the time when she was at home. So it turned out that she had a demon with her, and demons are also real. No, a lot of people don't like to talk about them, but unfortunately, it's a necessary. It's a real thing. And when I removed the demon in her session, and I also went through the house and filled the house with light and removed a earthbound spirit from her bedroom, from the master bedroom.
Mm,
And her husband's anxiety went way down after that session, like within a couple of days. And she uh, wasn't angry anymore. Like the anger was gone. She was calm and balanced. And she was so, so grateful. And then she had me do a session with one daughter, and then she had me do a remote session with her other daughter for emotional issues like trauma,
mm,
which
mm,
is really what I love to do the most.
mm.
But as I said, I'm quite gifted at removing negative energies, and so I can do both, and the whole family's doing a lot better.
That's incredible. So I want to talk a little bit personal. you know, you're not the average person walking around doing a job here. You've got some powerful skills. How has it been navigating personal and interpersonal relationships with the work you do in the world?
That is such a good question. No one has ever asked me that. It can be interesting, but it can be challenging because I'm always in this world. I'm always ready to be of service and keeping my eye out. Where can I help? You know, um, uh, Picking up things intuitively, and so it is challenging sometimes in the sense that it it's hard to just relax and hang out. And uh yeah,
And do you have family? I mean, are you married? Are you single? Do you have children?
I'm available
Yeah.
for the right person.
Love
Yeah,
it. Yeah, well,
yeah,
and so I'll stand with you because I know that people who have these kinds of gifts, it takes a special human being to be able to be in partnership with them.
yes, that's right.
And they have to be compassionate, kind, empathetic, and selfless in a certain way, because it cannot be about them when something calls the partner.
Yeah, I had a friend once who said to me, "Do you ever turn it off?" And I said, "Not really." I,
Well, how do you turn off a gift anyhow?
yeah.
So, so tell me what you do to feed your soul, because you are a high level energetic servant. What do you
Yes.
do to feed your soul?
I do my technique on myself. I still do it. And I've had a lot of my own uh, stuff to clear from past lifetimes, especially, and from this life. And every time I do a clearing on myself, just like when I work with a client, I say, this is good because I'm not only going to be that much cleaner here while I'm here, but I'm going to be that much cleaner when I make my transition and have less work to do on the
Mm,
other side. And so it's really about um, making myself the best vessel that I can
mm,
be in my service. And yeah, this life is a big life of service again.
mm-hmm. And and do you have a spiritual practice that keeps you attuned?
I do. I talk with my guides, and I often do Q&A with them, and sometimes they'll just go on a kind of a tangent, and I love those. I love those times because it's pure wisdom that comes through, and I also journal and I meditate. I do affirmations, which are really a wonderful way to feed the subconscious good stuff.
Mm,
And when I work with a client, the last thing I do is an energetic imprint. I clear an issue. Well, I balance them. I raise their vital life force. Then I clear the most important issue that has come up. Then I do an energetic imprint. So if someone comes to me and they're feeling hopeless, I might clear hopeless. And it's a profound difference. And then the imprint might be hopeful. And by the
yeah.
end of the session, they've gone from feeling hopeless to hopeful, and it lasts. When I clear something, it lasts. The the
Mm,
the results don't wear off like a massage. You have to keep doing
right.
it. It's one session per issue.
Well, it's beautiful. So tell me, how do people find you and your fabulous work?
Yeah, they can go to my website, which is phoenixrisinghealing.com.
Beautiful. And are you
Yeah.
on social media as well?
That's not really my favorite thing. I am a little bit, I put my
But people
newsletter.
but people should go to the phoenixrisinghealing.com to to book with you or find out what you do or get your book even.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Everyone loves the book. And a priest, a client who I removed a ghost, aka spirit attachment from his house after 30 years of not being able to get rid of her. I got rid of her, and then he passed my book on to his priest. The priest
Hmm.
read it and said I was right on the money.
Wow.
So,
Yeah,
that was
that's
nice.
nice. Well, I have one last question that I ask every guest.
Yeah,
This show is called Women Awakening. What do you
wonderful.
think is the most important thing about women awakening on the planet in this moment?
Okay, that is such a good question. Um, I would say that the most important thing for women uh, on the planet right now is really a couple of things. One is to become conscious of your filters when interacting with others and get clear about what is coming from unresolved issues with my family of origin. That is what will often keep women involved in unhealthy relationships because
Mm,
they're trying to create the happy ending that they didn't have in their own family. Makes sense, doesn't it?
100% been there, done that. So,
So many of
absolutely.
us have.
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely.
Yes.
Well, Ellie, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for your wisdom and your willingness to be in high service, and grateful to know you.
Oh, it's really nice to meet with you. And Cynthia, I appreciate you having me on the show. And what I was going to say is, it's not just about being aware of, you know, unconscious triggers or when women are operating from the unconscious, but I clear those things so that every time an unresolved issue with a family member is cleared, it increases the likelihood of attracting someone who's more healthy and more positive and fulfilling.
Beautiful. I love that. So, what I want you to know, ladies, is what Ellie just said is really important. You are not here to carry around the baggage of your childhood, your relationships, your familial energetics. You have an opportunity with people like Ellie and other places to go and have that energy removed so that you can be your best self. That is why you're on this planet. You're on this planet to be your best self and to bring your light. I'm so grateful that I get to walk this path with you. I love you, and I'll see you next time.